Crystal Online. Renegade Island functioning at 100%. Initiating opening sequence. It's showtime, boys.
Greetings from Tromaville. I'm Lloyd Kaufman.
Ed Sanchez.
Scott Snyder.
Hi, I'm Jen Soskin. And I'm Celia Saska. And we're the Twisted Twins.
Hi, I'm Trace Ballou.
Hey, what's up? This is Godfrey.
Jessica Riot.
Hi, I'm Jessica Cameron.
And I'm Heather Dorr.
This is the Angry Video Game Nerd, and you're listening to Nerd Rage Renegades. You fucks.
Nerd Rage Renegades.
I'm on with the Nerd Rage Renegade. This is now my new job.
And I'm on the Nerd Rage Renegade show!
The Spin and the Chief are just the best entertainment and best education in the world.
End sequence. Good job, young bloods.
They're stopping moms and divorces, taking yoga Pilates. Could be a national hell or a society lady in clothes. But if you blink, they're gonna steal your brain and paint it pink. Yeah, paint it pink.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nerd Rage Renegades podcast, episode number 199. Chief, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great, but for John tonight, we're calling it 200, and then tomorrow will have to be 200.5 because our guest tonight was a little upset with us for not being on 200, so we're going to change the whole numbering system.
Go ahead and introduce our guest tonight, Chief.
Tonight, we have with us our good friend, action producer John Kroll, and his partner on their new CBS series Pink Collar Crimes, Sharon Liese, or am I saying that right?
That's right, you got it.
Oh, I forgot to ask, and I'm embarrassed now. But welcome, the two of you. We can't wait to get into talking about the show.
And welcome. Thank you so much, Chief. And thank you very much for making us your episode 200. It's a real honor to be there.
You're welcome, John.
And welcome to Darwin's Theory, who is in the... Yeah, don't tell him. Welcome to Darwin's Theory, who is there in the chat saying, I'm purely here for John Kroll, but I am also here for Liese. Anybody who's in the chat, all night long, that chat is open to you. If you want to ask questions, if you got comments, go ahead, pop them up into that chat, and we'll be able to read those live here on the air for each and every one of you. And we want to thank everyone who comes into the chat to come into that's come to the channel tonight. Let's have some fun here. And as you can see on the screen right there, there's a good picture of John and Sharon right there in their pink. It's pretty. It's wonderful. Putting that up there. So tell us a little bit there about Pink Collar Crimes.
Well, Pink Collar Crimes is about unexpected female criminals who commit nonviolent crimes, and they usually have an air of weirdness or absurdity to them. But these are not people doing it out of desperation. These are soccer moms and PTA volunteers. Sharon?
Yeah, it's kind of a new twist on true crime, because they're not, we're not focusing on murders, and there's a lot you can learn from these complicated women that we feature.
Fantastic.
Including, in some cases, you can learn how to commit some of these crimes if you choose to go the pink collar route.
Now, yeah, I saw a little bit of the promo today. I was watching with Roxanne, and I saw that she actually learned her bank robbing skill from a robbery she was a part of, or that she experienced.
Yeah, yes. Inspiration can come from at the strangest moments. And for her, it was when she witnessed a bank robbery, and she was just in a place in her life where she kind of needed a little extra cash, and she was trying to figure out how she would get that, and lightning struck.
Ladies and gentlemen, real quick, A1 Drifter coming in with the host. Thank you so much, A1 Drifter, for hosting the show. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you very much.
Sorry, John.
Sorry, John.
No worries. It's interesting because one of the great things about this show is you get to meet these people up close and personally, And Sharon and one of our producers, Elizabeth, did the interviews with Roxanne and really got to bring out of her what brought her to that state and how she got to a frame of mind where it seemed like her only option was to rob a bank, which she admits sounds crazy now, but she takes you into the headspace, which is a partially drug-fueled headspace in her case, that causes that to happen.
Now, Sharon, I know you and John have known each other since way before this project. But how did you two come together, and how did you get involved, and how did you hear about Pink Collar Crimes, and how excited were you to get to work with John on something? Also,
oh my gosh, it's like such a dream come true to work with John Kroll. We met about 12 years ago when I had a project called High School Confidential, where I followed these 12 girls through high school for all 4 years of their high school experience. And John was an exec at New Line Television at the time. And when I was taking it out, it was my first project. And John and I partnered up, and I'd already shot for 4 years, and he helped me to craft the stories and bring it into post and to sell it. So after that, we did several other shows together. And then he goes off and does his big, competition shows, and I do some intimate documentaries, and our skills are really, and interests are really complementary. So about a year, maybe even a year and a half ago, we started talking about doing a true crime series, and John had some contacts had a contact, Again, Maynard at CBS Studios, and they were really interested in doing something in the true crime space, but doing it a little differently. And we really wanted to, have a twist on true crime, and really like stories about women and empowered women. So we did a bunch of research and came up with sort of a genre sort of busting kind of format.
Hey, by the way, I understand our producer Elizabeth is on the feed right now, and she was a great addition to our team. We had not worked with Elizabeth DeClear before, and she's fantastic. So she is the episode producer for the Minivan Mom Bank Robber, and is online right now with us, apparently.
And also, Elizabeth, to add, she and she did another episode too, but she also was with us from the very beginning. So she really helped us in the casting stage and figuring out which cases we were going to do, and really helped to shape the show.
One of the questions
and I went ahead, I dropped some emotes in that chat for Elizabeth to show our appreciation to her. I went ahead and dropped some emotes in there for her.
Welcome to the Nerd Rage Renegades. Now, I asked a question earlier to John on Twitter, and I should have asked Sharon instead. How many times did you have to keep John from bringing in a helicopter or like a slide of some kind? Or like explosions or a big TV-sized target?
Yeah, well, John, when you work with John, it's always fun and interesting, and there's always the unexpected thing that's going to happen. Reining him in is kind of a full-time job. Not going to lie.
With Pink Collar Crimes, coming up with these stories, and you said you've actually gone out, with these true crimes. You've met a lot of the people that committed these crimes, correct?
Yes.
What was it like to hear their stories and to get into kind of because I know when you're doing a true crime, you kind of have to get into their mindset a little bit of when they committed these crimes, what were their motives, what caused them to do this. What were some of the ones that you found extremely interesting and ones that you were kind of like, this has to make it as an episode? Because I'm sure you talked to a lot of them, to try to pin them down for the show.
Yeah, we went through quite a process. The ones that really would embrace the fact that they were telling their full story were the ones that we're most attracted to. We were also attracted to things that were kind of absurd in their stories, like the minivan bank robber, how she strategized or didn't strategize when she robbed these banks, and maybe she might have been on foot. She might have worn a clown mask. There are interesting things like that would draw us to them. So and then also there was like a difference between the women that we were able to interview and the women who were mostly sociopathic, and we couldn't for one reason or another interview them, but they were all pretty open, and a lot of them were remorseful and had some transformation, but they also owned it, and we found that really interesting and compelling.
Hey guys, can
yeah,
I was just going to say there was, I saw a question on the feed about what makes this show different from other true crime shows.
Get to that.
Am I supposed to let you ask that to me? Like,
go ahead. Go ahead. Crime Fan 101. Yes.
I saw Crime Fan 101 ask that, and it's interesting because Sharon and I are fans of true crime, but we haven't made a true crime show before, and we really wanted to make one that felt totally different. So first of all, we focused on atypical, nonviolent, female-driven crimes. We wanted crimes that had a bizarre, weird absurdity to them. We're like really inspired by films like I, Tonya and Fargo, and also we're inspired by like kind of weird documentaries like Wormwood and Imposter, and so. We wanted to bring all those kinds of elements together in a show that felt and looked really different than any kind of true crime show.
I know.
Well, and that's why you guys played that main title sequence and the theme song, and that's all designed to let people know you're not in Kansas anymore. You're here for a different kind of true crime show. Well, Sharon's in Kansas because that's where she lives, but the viewers will not be in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, I knew when you were involved with it, it wasn't going to be just a boring. That's why I can't wait.
And thanks Super Macho Jedi Knight and Celtic Rose 1981. Thank you for coming into the chat, guys. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, John, who did you get to shoot this thing? Because I read an article that you tweeted today that said you had to do like a mirror system, some kind of mirror system where you could see where they look directly at the camera, because for some reason people won't look at the camera directly or something.
Well, what I'm going to do is break your question down into two answers. We shot the reenactments with a director named Ben Steinbauer out of Austin and a DP named Lee Phelan, who just did a marvelous job of just making them not look like the shadowy figure ones that you see a lot of times and really put the recreations in your face. But what you're talking about is this system of creating direct eye contact between the producer and the subject to make the interviews really intimate. I'll let Sharon talk about that. She actually worked with the system.
Yeah, it was really cool because what it is it's kind of a knockoff of what Errol Morris used in what was called an Interatron, and so it's called the contraption's called an eye direct. In front of the camera, it's got a series of mirrors so that you're actually looking at the person. You can actually see the person that you're talking to, but they're actually their image is being reflected into the camera. But the person that your subject can see the producer who's asking the questions, and the producer can also see the subject. So it just looks like you're looking through a box, but you can see each other, but the camera's picking it up as if it looks right, as if the person's looking right into the camera, which makes it so much more intimate for the viewer, because they feel like they're being spoken to directly. And you could say, well, you could just do that through asking the person to look into the camera. But but there's such a big difference when you ask someone to look into a camera versus looking into another person's face, because they're not talking to anybody. So it's kind of like for us right now, which probably makes this system better because we can see each other.
Yeah, that's we always said that on we like having the cameras when we do the podcast, because it just seems weird just not seeing who you're talking to. I don't know. It's just always been weird.
Yeah, because we're so used to the cues, and we're to see if someone's interested, if they want to hear more, if they want to hear less.
Right. Yeah, and it definitely that makes. I read that. I read about that system today. And I couldn't quite get my head. It's way easier to understand when you explain it to me step by step. And I apologize because I already goofed up the question system, John. the question system we discussed. I already screwed it up. Did you catch it?
One of the things
we're just rolling with it.
Yeah,
we're just rolling with it.
That's how we roll.
I'm a wild card, man. I try my best, and sometimes I just go off the rail, and I can't help it.
Well, one of the things I think a lot of the people, especially people in the chat that maybe don't know much about the show, is going to be interesting. Is something we were talking about before the show even aired. And anybody who grew up in the early '90s, early to mid '90s, knows the name Marcia Clark. We all know the name Marcia Clark, and she's involved with this series. Can you explain basically what we talked about before the show, how Marcia kind of came into the fold on this, how she was to work with, her enthusiasm and all of that?
Yeah, Marcia and I have been friends for the last 10 years or so. We did a pilot for CBS 10 years ago, and it didn't go, but we became friendly, and she and I were having lunch last year, and I told her about this crazy show that Sharon and I were developing, and she started laughing, and she said, I get involved with so many murder shows. If you need me to do anything for this show, let me know. And we had been talking about having a pink collar profiler, as we called it, someone from the outside world to comment on legal and crime issues that really nobody within the show could do, because we don't have a narrator, we don't have a host, but sometimes there's stuff that just requires a little extra professional insight. And so she agreed to do that, and we ended up using her to do a little setup for each episode, which I think there's a clip online of her that you can see. But Marcia is a funny, irreverent, occasionally very off-color, highly entertaining woman, and you get to see a little bit more of that side of her in this show than you get to see anything else.
Now, were both of you always on set all the time? Did one of you how did the set work? Were you both there all the time to make sure everying was good? And you had to make sure John stays away from stuff that he might.
Funny you should mention that.
We had a very short time frame in which we could produce this. So we were together at times, but we were dividing and conquering more often than not. I was out in the field most of the time with doing the interviews with the producers, and John he got to more of the recreation set. So we had two sets going simultaneously, and he was at the recreations with Ben and that whole crew, which was I don't even know 40 people maybe on that crew, and the documentary crew was smaller. And then we were both on the recre at times together, and then John was more in the edit, and I was also in the edit, but not as much as John.
As a practical matter, I live in LA and Sharon lives in Kansas City, and our entire collaboration over the last 12 years has been largely virtual. And so she actually flew around the country to exactly. She flew around the country to all the different interview locations. I didn't get on a plane for this whole show, but I stayed and ran the mothership in LA, where we had both the recreations and the editing going on. And then she came out for 1 or 2 weeks a month, and obviously a little bit more as we got into edit, and there was no more shooting to be done in the field. And it ended up being a really good way for us to do things, because our collaboration has always been with her placing a little more emphasis on shooting and me on post.
And so, John, were you excited to get to do some like drama type stuff in the reenactments after doing so many game shows for the last few years?
Yeah, I will say that working with actors sometimes makes me feel like I'm risking my life more than when I'm, going in front of moving trains and doing some of the other stunt stuff that I do. It can be hazardous work. But no, it was really fun because, as you guys know, I have a background directing scripted material and features and stuff like that. So getting back into that world and having that be a component of this show was a really exciting part. And Sharon, who comes from a traditional doc world, it was really fun for her to play in that sandbox and go to casting sessions and be on set with that going on as well. And so it was, this was just a little of everything. It's got a lot of different elements to it.
Yeah, the article that I read today said that you guys corresponded and sent each other different documentaries and things back and forth.
Yeah, we did. Oh my gosh, we were like constantly sending each other this link, and have you seen that? And have you seen this? And then we'd like watch it, and then the next day we'd talk about it. And we were watching like Voyeur and the other ones that John mentioned. But yeah, we have really nice, sensitive, supportive spouses because we're crazy about watch this. Okay, I'll watch it tonight. You know, commitment to 2 hours. Boom.
With
That's awesome.
So with this show, you know, does it also like how I guess what I'm trying to ask is how many episodes are we getting first of this series? What was picked up for how many episodes? And later on, would it be kind of turned into, hey, we just heard this from the headlines of this new mom that did something. It's like we need to see if we can adapt it. Kind of like some shows will rip things right from the headlines when they happen.
Well, I don't think we feel the need to chase the sort of news-driven shows like 2020 and Dateline. There are 8 episodes of Pink Collar Crimes.
Okay.
We would love to do a bunch more. They're obviously we're on America's most watched network, but we're on America's least watched night, which is Saturday night. So we're hoping that you guys and all of the listeners to this tell their friends and get people going, because we'd love to do a bunch more of these. It's kind of it started off being a much smaller show, but when you're on CBS, there's nothing that's small. So we tried to blow it up and make it big. And all the stuff you're hearing about, like us trading ideas, like this happened really quickly because in mid-December, we were asked, can you have 8 episodes ready for June? And I said, well, sure, if we get an order by Christmas. And I just kind of pulled that out of my ass. I wasn't sure. We didn't have a calendar yet. I just knew that but I knew that they would have to tell us soon. And so we got the order on December 22nd. So Sharon and I interviewed the staff. And over the Christmas holiday, all the staff we had just hired got into this thing that Sharon and I were doing, where we started trading movies we loved that we thought could be good references for this. And we started pre-production on January 2nd, having had all of this discussion, so everyone had the frame of mind, and we could jump right into it and go for it. Now that said, we're never going to rip from the headlines. It's always going to be a better show when it's cases that have been adjudicated and the people are out of jail and we can interview them for the show.
Right.
I mean, we're already getting people saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead."
Oh, I was just gonna say you do break it up with different people, like some of the police that were involved, and there's interviews with different people involved in the crime throughout, right? As a series, the focus is like different narrators for the different stories.
Yeah, like we started out thinking that we would only have the criminal be the narrator, the voice of the show, and then we realized that would be kind of limiting because there were more possibilities if we really saw who had what perspective on the crime. And so there are times where in 4 of the episodes we have the criminal who is our guide through the stories. And then in the other episodes, we have like a detective. We have a psychic detective who tracks down this psychic who
I'm gonna love this.
Frauding people. And then we have victims also, and they have a whole different perspective.
We have one episode that is built entirely around the largest coupon fraud in history: $40 million of counterfeit coupons.
$40 million? That's a lot of that seems like a lot of work to get that scam to work.
You'll have to tune in and see how it all
gotta
works.
see
We'll
that
give you
one.
the whole playbook.
Oh, I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait. I wish I could have gotten a hold of you and CBS in time and gotten a screener so I could have seen this before you came on. But I almost like it better now that I get to talk to both of you before I actually watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief, you're lucky they're letting us talk to you about this at all. Okay, you guys are seen as rather sketchy characters from the network standpoint. You know. But by the way, something else fun that we did with this, we have 2 detectives who narrate their own story, who we had play themselves in their reenactments. So it's really fun for them. So Jordan Marakian, who's an Orange County detective, he plays himself in episode in what'll be the 5th episode to air, The Crappy Accountant. This is a woman who posed as an accountant, but she actually worked in a fertilizer company. And then Bob Nygaard, who is the psychic crime fighter and has dedicated his life to stopping psychics from ripping people off, plays himself in his reenactments as well.
I'm just thinking now there's like a darkened office at CBS, and there's a guy, the head guy's just sitting there by the window with his hand behind his back going, "The Renegades." Kroll wants to talk to those people. We remember last time Kroll was on their show.
I hope that
I hope that happens.
But I sincerely hope that's happening at CBS.
I hope that happening. Those guys.
So tomorrow night is the premiere of the show on CBS. What time is the show? Let me see. I should
at 8 p.m. Eastern Pacific and 7 p.m. Mountain and Central.
So at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 Central. Everybody make sure you tune in for that because it's going to be awesome. I absolutely cannot wait. I'm dying to see this with psychic detectives and whatnot. But I know that since John is involved, it's going to be, and I know his work, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
And now I'm doing my research, of course. Sharon, you actually were a field producer for an episode of John's show, Utopia, correct?
Yes. Well, not really an episode, but I did some of the background packages and went out and did some interviews for the background packages.
So you got to did you see the compound itself? Were you at the
Actually,
compound?
I did. I went to visit once. Yeah, when I was in LA, I did go to visit. Went to the master control room, which was crazy with, I don't know, 28 cameras or something.
Now, just be honest, right? The compound.
It's 128 cameras, Sharon.
Okay.
But who's counting?
Thank you.
Well, just be honest. The compound was actually like an electrified fenced enclosure in John's backyard, and he could just stand from a window and laugh at everybody, right? It was like his own personal little like flea circus in his backyard, right?
I love how you guys love John.
We love John.
and I will say, on the show, he has made me laugh every single day.
Well, it's just funny because
Sharon,
every time he's on, it's something new. Like, Chief first brought John to me because he's like, there's a show called like 10 Million Bigfoot Bounty with Dean Cain. It's amazing.
Well, you know what? I kept thinking while we were producing this show, I kept thinking about Space Chief's video recaps that he's done for my shows in the past. And this is a show that is made for Space Chief video recaps. Because here's the thing, Chief. These are not master criminals, okay? These are like housewives and society women who are doing it. Okay, they just make a lot of mistakes. It's like a slow motion train wreck, and you're going to be there to dissect that. Okay, so I think that your
I know a thing or two
recaps.
about criminals, and I'll probably be able to break that down pretty nicely for you, John. Like I said, I will be, and if everybody listening on the show right now, there will be Space Chief videos for Pink Collar Crimes coming. I believe I will put the first one up probably Sunday night for anybody that wants to see that. My first reaction video to the show.
And Chief, just know, because these are Pink Collar Crimes, I believe Space Wife's insight is going to be essential to having these recaps be complete and get inside the female criminal mind.
There's no way I could keep her away from it. She's going to be all over it. I promise you. She's absolutely. I told her it's coming on, and I told her what it is, and she's very excited too. So these should be some pretty lively videos coming for the show, John.
Great.
And the other thing is you know our followings always cross-pollinate when we do these things. So I want to encourage all of your listeners to join Sharon and I on social media, and we're always happy to answer questions and engage with any non-assholes who wish to, and some assholes who wish to engage.
I followed Sharon. I went on the Twitter and I found her, and it's at Sharon Liese, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and John is at Hippie Kid, as you all know.
And of course, Instagram is John F. Kroll. And Sharon, your Instagram is
Sharon Liese, I think.
Sharon and I are not millennials. If that's any surprise to anyone.
Now, did you both go to Comic-Con this year and promote the show at all? Were you there for
Oh,
that?
yes,
or were
I
you
have a
just there,
picture of you two at
you're
Comic-Con. There it is. I just popped it up, that picture of you two at Comic-Con as Batman and Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I think our Comic-Con costumes were pretty awesome this year.
Yeah,
you know.
a very, very authentic, John.
There we were promoting Pink Collar Crimes.
And that's actually a picture John did send me. So.
That's the panel. That's the go ahead into the panel for.
All right, enough of that. Yeah, how was we're still trying to get out there at some point to get out to San Diego. We're just gonna crash on your couch, John. We're just gonna show up one day with luggage and say we're here.
Like with a caravan.
You will always be welcome at stately Kroll Manor unless Sharon's in town, in which case she will be staying here in the guest room.
I bought a bed that I keep in this house.
Chief, we got to take our sticks and bandana bags full of beans back, someplace else. We got to go to the underpass. Our hobo sticks to the underpass.
Down to the canyon.
Although we did have fun because we did go to C2E2 this year, and every morning as we drove to the convention center from our hotel, we passed a restaurant called Kroll's.
Yeah,
every single
Kroll's
morning.
restaurant.
Kroll's restaurant every single morning.
Yeah, you posted something about that. I remember that.
Yeah, I sent you a picture of the awning outside. And I think you said something about poisoning me, if I remember that exchange correctly.
Yeah, I think that we serve some Fear Factor food at Kroll Restaurant. That's to be sure.
So, what different parts of the country did some of these crimes take place for the Pink Collar Crimes? Were they just all over? Are they mostly in LA or in California? Where are all these people from?
We have a couple in Southern California. We had one in Southern California, and then we had two. We had New Jersey and New York and Knoxville. The second week's episode is in Knoxville, and then we had Miami and Kansas City.
And Phoenix, Arizona as well.
Yeah. And in Kansas City we have a murder for hire story with a woman who ran a horse and carriage business and was in competition with another woman who ran a horse and carriage business, and it kind of things accelerated and heated up to the point where murder was an option.
Oh. That's right up my alley. Now, after doing this show, has it brought up new ideas? Do you guys want to work together again and do something else after this?
Nope, never again. This is it. In fact, notice that we have not spoken directly with one another since we've been on this.
Oh my God!
Sharon, seething hatred.
Yeah, every time I'd leave the office, I would just look at John and go, "I've had it with you. I'm done."
No, we have 6 other shows that we are developing right now, and a couple more true crime shows and a couple of very weird other kinds of shows that we probably shouldn't discuss. But yeah, we love working together. We of course High School Confidential. That's my model for how I want us to work together, is for Sharon to work on it for 4 years and me to come in for a couple of months and take all the credit. That was pretty awesome.
I think I've seen that whole series actually. Was it on MTV? Am I thinking correctly that it was on MTV?
It was for a second. It was on MTV for a minute, and then it went to WeTV.
Oh, I think I.
No, it really wasn't on. It wasn't on MTV, but we had it. It almost was on there.
We also did a show that you guys would have loved called Hookers Saved on the Strip. We worked with a group called Hookers for Jesus that got prostitutes out of the business.
Oh, well, yeah, I want to see that.
that was on Investigation Discovery. You might be able to still see that in rerun. And we also did an MTV True Life about young people changing religions called "I'm Breaking Up with My Religion."
That's right.
I remember. Yes, I've heard of that one.
And John had a hand in my film, The Nomist, that's online.
Yes, tell our viewers about The Nomist, please.
Yes, I swear I've seen it. It's been a while though. It's the details are. I know the premise and everything. And I for some reason I can see the film in my head, but I can't remember all the details about it. So please tell us about the Nomas.
Yeah, it's a 17-minute long film that you can see on YouTube, and it premiered at Tribeca and was picked up by CNN Films. And it was actually the first thing that they did on Great Big Story 2.5 years ago. And it's about the power of kindness, and it's about little fairy homes that magically appear in a forest in a suburb of Kansas City, and people's lives are changed by it. And in some ways you don't know what's real and what's not real. It's kind of cool.
Awesome. Now,
and there are also some gnome. You would get into this because there is actually a gnome hater in it.
Oh, excellent.
I can't hate gnomes. I still remember the ending of David the Gnome. It still gets me.
Finn loves David the Gnome.
Because David the Gnome was Tom Bosley, and Tom Bosley was America's dad. All right, Tom Bosley was the
Mr.
and he was Father Downey. Tom Bosley was Dowling. He was the man. I love Tom Bosley. Minty Delight in that chat. How you doing, Minty man?
Doing a lot of documentaries, and did the scripted parts of this series make you want to do like a scripted movie, Sharon, or would you rather just stick with documentary?
Well, there's a big trend now in documentaries to do more of a hybrid kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So where you combine the scripted and documentary, and I love that. And John and I both want to do more of that. So because you'll see when you see the show Pink Collar Crimes that the scripted part of it, the recreations feel like you're watching a scripted movie. So there's just kind of a big movement now in documentaries so that you can tell more of a story. You don't have to rely on if you don't have archival footage or you weren't there at the moment that it was shot, and people are really embracing it.
That's one of the things that I saw is you guys wanted to stay away from the reality show, like black and white slow motion shadowy figures in the dark, like you can't tell it. Like you wanted to be people to be able to see everything.
Right, because it takes people out of the story when you do that, and we're kind of drawing them in more by having these really cinematic scenes.
And by the way, no shame on people who on the shows that use that. Look, if you have a great story, it's a great way to tell a story. And I know there are a lot of shows that use that as the vehicle to tell stories. We just want to do something different. That's all. We watch those shows. We enjoy them.
We've made those shows.
Oh,
yeah, we've made those shows too.
You know that I'm watching them, John. Every one of those paranormal shows on that's on Destination America or any of those goofy ghost hunting shows, and whenever they do recreations, that's the style that they do. And I love it to death.
It's just always fun to see what you're gonna do next, John. I mean, it's if one.
Yeah.
What
are you gonna go back to some explosions and targets and stuff, John?
Are we gonna get another famous horror monster game show?
I don't know that I can promise that at this time. However, there are some wonderful shows that I have brewing right now. I just came from Netflix with one which I'm very, very hopeful for. But most of those are things that fall into the can't talk about it category. But I am going to take a little bit of a vacation. I'm going to go to Cuba for a week just to check the scene out there. Mm-hmm. That's my immediate plan.
You can go there now. I forgot that you can go to Cuba now.
And now there's a man in a dark office at Netflix going, "All right, Kroll, we'll pick up your series, but if you bring those Renegades with you, I swear to God."
No, the way it works is I say I will not do a show with you unless I can be on the Nerd Rage Renegade podcast.
Darn
That's
right.
a deal breaker.
That's right.
Darn right.
Now, I remember there was a show you told. John called me. I don't know if I've ever told the podcast.
You told me. You haven't told it on the air.
John actually called me on the phone one day, which was pretty surprising. I didn't expect it because just out of the blue, it's John Kroll. And he was telling me about a show that he was going to work on, but I won't say what it is. But it sounded like it was going to be great, and then I didn't hear anything else about it. So I'm hoping that one of these ones that you're not talking about is.
Wait, what show was that? I don't remember this. I remember calling you.
No, you called me and you said there was a show about
a thing
similar
and a thing.
to amazing a race type show that involved.
Oh, I know which one that was.
Okay. So I don't want to say too much because I don't know if John.
No, it didn't go, but it was a great idea.
Yeah, that's the one I was wondering if it was still coming down the pipe, but I don't know if John knows which one I'm talking about.
And if the chat doesn't know, a little thing about John is John has done a show about Bigfoot. He was behind the Blade TV series that was on. Was it Spike at that time, or was it still like the Nashville network at that time? Because I know the Nashville network became Spike or something. On Spike TV.
No, it was Spike. It was Spike.
Spike TV. You had the Nightmare on Elm Street, Real Nightmares, with Robert Englund, and that's why I was asking. I was wondering if we were gonna get like Leatherface Iron Chef or something like that. So every time we talk to you, it's something new. Either you're putting a bunch of people in a compound and not letting them eat for like days, or they only get like a certain amount of money, or you've got Godfrey afraid to go up on like a getting Godfrey to scream doing stunts or something. It's always something new, wild, and exciting, and I absolutely love it. And then John Cena. That's all. But of course, John never saw John Cena because you can't see him. You can't see John Cena.
Look, what can I say? I have eclectic tastes, and
we love it.
And I get drawn to different types of material. And although there are limitations, like sometimes Sharon will call me with some like crazy, weird person she's found in like a corner of Mongolia that she wants to do a documentary about, and she's like, do you think we could do this as a TV series? And I'm like, are you high? Like, what network are we going to sell that to? But
you can premiere it on the
says,
if you do it, you can.
Yes, like the Hutterites.
And had to dress like Hutterites and eat the food they killed right in front of us.
Sharon, anything you come up with, you can premiere it on the Nerd Rage Renegades YouTube. Anything you've got, we'll premiere it there. As I honestly want to know about this man in like in Mongolia. I want to know.
Sorry,
no worries. No, I think that we'd like to do some more shows in the true crime space. We've already found a couple we like to do. We are foolishly hoping that enough people watch this show that people would like to see another true crime show from us. And we had a lot of fun doing this, but and have explored. We've explored some shows that have murders in them, but I think one of the things we've actually really liked about this show is the fact that it's a murder-free zone. Not that we won't watch shows about murders, but as a producer, you have to spend a hell of a lot more time with these people and the material than you do as a viewer. And I don't want to spend 6 months, living with a bunch of murders in my life. It's just not. It's not. I like to surround myself with a cocoon of joy. What can I say?
Now, every once in a while,
real quick, Chief Super Macho Jet Knight says he's got a jet. Thank you so much for coming to the chat and hanging out with us, with Sharon and John tonight. Super Macho Jedi Knight. Thank you so much for coming there. Aaron, that's our buddy Adrian there, buddy. Chief, that's Hunter.
Yeah. I know him. He's a good friend.
Yep.
Hey, John, I know every once in a while I bounce a show off of you on Twitter, and I'm
Jesus, okay.
Have we got any on my psychedelic island idea that I had planned out? My idea was that we take a bunch of contestants like Survivor and lace all of their food with psilocybin mushrooms the entire stay that they're there, and watch the after effects of and they have to survive while on psychedelics the entire time.
Is that legal? Is that legal?
Probably not. But
it would definitely have to be on an unincorporated territory with no rule of law. We did talk about this, Chief, but sadly, this has such a close resemblance to my actual upbringing that I think that it would be a very difficult thing for me emotionally to have to produce. much as I think it has great hit potential. So I think that you could continue to solicit other producers who don't share the same scars that I do.
See, and I've always wanted to do. I'm saying now maybe CBS will get out of will turn the lights on in the dark office if I pitch this to them. I've always thought, give me and Chief like a camera and let us go out there, and it's like American Pickers, but with like pop culture and comic book stuff. Let us go out there to those people that had those weird things, like a Bonanza toy set from 1974 or whatever in their basement, and just let us go out there and find these weird toys and props and like pop culture stuff, and let us just go out there and do that. I think that's a show. We could find some weird stuff out there.
Yeah, do you think you're the only one who pitches a show you want to get paid to do what you already do already?
No, but we're the best at what we do.
That's why I said, if Kroll had anything to do with it, he'd have to hurt us somehow. Like every episode would be some.
I will allow John to break. I will if we get 8 episodes, he can break a finger at the end of every episode.
Sharon, you've heard it. I think we should bring this up at our next development meeting.
Go ahead.
And we can have our crack research team, Fabio and Tater Tot, do some research on this.
Fabio and Tater Tot.
Are Fabio and Tater Tot listeing, Sharon? Do you think did you tell them to tune in?
I hope so.
It's not the real Fabio, is it?
Taters probably is, but Fob, I think, is working tonight.
Model Sherm coming in. I heard Pink Collar Crimes is going to be the best series out tomorrow. I can't wait. I agree.
I appreciate you saying that, Model Sherm. However, I would qualify that by saying I think it will be the best show since Philo T. Farnsworth invented the television.
Is this Sherman from?
This may be Sherman, right?
This may be Sherman. I think Sherman has a vested interest because I think this particular Sherman actually appears in what will be the fourth episode to air. Sherman, this is actually a little known fact. This is Sherman from American Grit.
Yeah, Sherman's my favorite. Sherman's been on the show. We've had Sherman on the podcast.
Sherman just put on the chat. I don't know Sherman. Yeah, Sherman, listen, rocket scientist, you shouldn't make your name Model Sherm if you don't want us to know it's you.
Well,
okay?
And you shouldn't spell it the right way with an O because nobody spells Sherman with an O.
No one would ever know that was Sherman. No, Sherman was my pick to win. Pick to win the show.
Sherman's, he's been on the show. How you doing, buddy? Man, good to see you, man. Long time, man.
Sherman's sat here on the panel before.
So what happened is Sherman's been trying to get an acting career going, and I had a role that I thought would be good for him, and I said, if you're going to be in LA when we're shooting, then we'll get you on there. And Sherman plays a rapper who leases a car from one of our heroes, and then he later gets a house from her. And Sherman, I have to tell you, he's got some chops. He did a great job. I think Sherman's got a future working on that side of the camera.
And that episode is called She-Wolf of Wall Street.
Nice.
Yes, the She-Wolf of Wall Street is the 4th episode to air, and it's a woman from Queens, Jamila Davis, who took out $20-some million in fraudulent real estate loans. And she has an amazing story, very active on social media, so you may hear from Jamila. What I love about Jamila is, like Roxanne in our first episode, she completely owns what she did and makes no excuses for anything.
Yeah, I liked Roxanne's segment that I watched today because she's so matter-of-fact about it. She just tells the story like, hey, that's what I did.
Well, she thinks it's as amusing as we do. Like, she's like, I can't believe I did this. That was like another person. So I think that was part of it. Is she kind of like she kind of is able to separate herself and the person she is now from that person.
So how many people involved in the show are there still some of them currently doing time?
And Sherman, hey, thanks for stopping by, man.
Yeah, good to hear from you, Sherman.
He said he was out. He said, get it straight, he's a gangster rapper.
That's right.
He's a gangster rapper. Get it right. Go ahead, Chief.
My apologies, Sherman.
There are at least two that are still serving time, right? It's a Jackpot Jack and Lizzie.
And
then somebody's might go to prison.
Oh, so there's still some that are being. Are they still? They haven't been sentenced yet. Some.
Well, I don't want to say who that one is. But
John Kroll.
Yeah, don't reveal what you do. You can't reveal.
The name is John Kroll.
It's John.
It's interesting because you're talking about them, telling their stories, and for some of them, most of them, it's the first time that they're really sitting down to tell their full story.
Right.
So it's really cathartic and kind of empowering for them to share their story. And we do this thing at the beginning where the person comes in and walks in and sits down, and they sort of have introduced their story in the way they would kind of put a short title on it. So like with Roxanne, you'll see she comes in and she's like, I'm going to tell my story. It's like, I've thought about it. This is where I want to do it, and sit back and enjoy it, hearing my story.
Now, were there any of without maybe giving anything away or anything, was there anybody that you were talking to that made it into the show that you're like, I really can't stand this person? I can't. You had to get up almost and walk out of the room because you really can't just stand how just smarmy and proud of themselves they are.
We love everyone who had the courage to come and be on our show. But there are some people who chose not to be on our show who we think, we wish had done so, and we can only go off the information we have in telling their story, and other people don't have such nice things to say about them. So
there were people that agreed and then they backed out. Did you actually had already interviewed them and then they backed out later, or?
None of the we had some flirtations with people about that, but until they're in the chair and you're recording, there's always going to be some doubt. It's funny. I'm friendly with R.J. Cutler, the documentary director, and he did the September issue with Anna Wintour. And I said, "How did you get her approval to do this?" And he said, "I had to get approval every day." And I think that's the you don't know until they're in the chair being interviewed whether it's going to happen, because these are people who are going through a lot of stuff in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and kind of for both of you, working in documentaries, Sharon and John, and working with reality TV contestants, they're kind of similar in that they're just regular people. Do either one of you have you really just don't want to work with actors that actors are just too much trouble? It's like, I'd rather work with a regular Joe off the street or do a story about this amazing just regular citizen than to work with an actor that's just not even like real. They're not being real with it. They're like a different character.
I've worked with actors for years. I married one. I think that actors are wonderfully complicated people, but it's a whole different process because they're saying other people's words. And I think that Sharon and I, and Sharon's the one who really is adept at getting them to speak their truth. It's one of her superpowers. We're really fascinated with people telling their own stories these days, just because it's just an unbelievable sort of resonance to when they're doing that. It's just something that we've really come to enjoy.
A truth is stranger than fiction kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I completely, yeah, go ahead.
Well, and it's also, I truly believe that we're helping people to tell their stories. And I always want, as a kind of rule of thumb, that I want to say that I'm okay being in a room with them after they viewed the show. So I always want it to be really a good experience for them. Sometimes it's painful and sometimes it's a little embarrassing, but it doesn't always need to be. And in the end, usually people feel like it was cathartic and that they were really glad that they had the opportunity to be listened to and to be able to tell their story in their own words.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And going back to what you're talking about people, until they're in that chair, Yeah, Chief and I know all about that. Chief, we're on day 520 of the Carl Weathers Watch, and there's still no Carl Weathers.
We've put out the feelers to get Carl Weathers. How many years ago now?
It was 528 days ago.
Yeah. So still no Carl Weathers. Everyone, Carl Weathers has not called in or
Apollo
showed up
Creed
in the
has
chat.
not. We have not gotten we have not gotten anything from Apollo Creed as of yet. We will keep you updated on Carl Weathers.
That's right.
So tomorrow night, Saturday, which will be the 28th of July, Pink Collar Crimes on CBS, and that is at 9 p.m.
8
p.m.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 Central.
Yes.
7 will be when I'm watching it.
And then a lot of hours later in California. So make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you follow both Sharon and John on the Twitter machine. Once again, guys, let's give out those Twitter handles and Instagram so people can follow you.
I am Hippie Kid at on Twitter, as most of you know, and John with no H F Kroll on Instagram.
And I am Sharon Liese, Liese for my last name, on both Twitter and Instagram.
And of course, we are Space Chief 75 on Twitter, and of course, NRDRG Renegades, official Nerd Rage Renegades Twitter. And if you're watching in that chat, if you want to know, we are here every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Nerd Rage Renegades podcast. If you want to know when we're on, there's a little heart there on your screen. Hit that heart. That'll give you a follow. Notifications will be enabled so you know when we go live every single week with the Nerd Rage Renegades podcast, and it will also let you know when I go live streaming video games, when I do the streaming of them there video games.
That's right.
Tomorrow night, Saturday night, we're back here. We're doing a doubleheader this weekend. Tomorrow night, we have another show, which I guess now is episode 200.5.
We've had to change the numbering for John.
Change the numbering for John. So there is no episode 199. That is now a lost episode.
All I know is we're episode 200.
And our good buddy Cool Beer will be on all the way from Liverpool, England. He's going to be on with us as he is every 25 episodes, or this time 25.5 episodes. And it looks like we got confirmation that the elusive third Renegade, Rainbow Red Panda, will be on tomorrow night.
Yes, that should be fun.
The Rainbow Red Panda? I got to be there for that one.
Yep.
Come on back, John.
Come on back, John. The Rainbow Red Panda will be on tomorrow night. And also, we want to say thank you to everyone. We have hit 100 followers, over 100 followers on this Twitch channel since we started just a few months ago. So Chief and I are currently in the midst of scheduling and compiling a 12-hour stream.
12 hours of fun stuff.
12 hours. That means we will be on for 12 hours, which actually, Chief, is kind of fitting because we remember at Christmas time we wanted to do like a 74-hour stream of something and see just people watch us go crazy.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, it was unrealistic. So we're going to do a 12-hour stream. We're going to plan that out, have that coming up soon. So we want to thank everyone that came in here. I'm going to go over here real quickly because I want to thank Crime Fan 101 who came in with a follow tonight. Thank you so much, Crime Fan 101. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. And of course, A1 Drifter came in with that host. Model Sherm coming in with that follow. Sherman coming in with that follow. Thank you so much. Following us. Thank you so much, my brother. Good to see you, man. So thank you so much.
Most importantly of all, I'd like to thank John and Sharon for taking their time out tonight and coming on and talking about the show.
Looking forward to the show.
John and Sharon. I'm excited. I'm dying to see this thing. It'll be 7 o'clock for me, so I might even record a video tomorrow and throw it up and do another one Sunday. We'll have to see how it goes. But I'm looking forward to Pink Collar Crimes. Congratulations, you guys, on the premiere tomorrow.
Thank you. It's been fun to be on this show with you guys.
I hope you had fun, Sharon. John always tells me he's never coming back. Then he comes back. But thanks for coming back.
Well, it's such an honor to be episode 200 that I think I have to come back next time you ask, no matter what it is.
All right, tomorrow.
Just tell the executive CBS we're not bad people. We're really good people. Kenro Gaming, oh snap, I was so busy I almost forgot. Not a problem, Ken. You know you can always go back and watch the VOD. And that's for anybody, if you missed any part of the show, this episode will still be up there. If you go to the channel, you go to videos, this whole podcast will stay up there on a video on demand. It's a VOD. You can watch it as many times as you want. If there's something you like about it, you can make a clip of it. You can send John clips. You can say, hey, John, remember when you said this? Make a clip of it. Shoot it to him and say, hey, you said this.
Incriminate John in any way?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You want some blackmail on John?
Don't
Just make a clip?
encourage them.
No. You don't have permission to incriminate John. That's the only thing you're not allowed to do.
Not on episode 200. No, not on episode 200.
Not on 200.
Sharon, however, is completely fair game.
Well, Sharon's done no wrong. She doesn't deserve any.
Yeah. Celtic Rose coming in with the great show. I got you. Trust me, says Kenro Gaming. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all so much. So we'll be back tomorrow night with episode 200.5. So we're gonna end this. We're gonna end the show tonight. We are gonna play the opening once again of Pink Collar Crime. So Sharon, John, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. We will see you all next time.
Good night, everybody.
There's something miles and divorces, taking yoga Pilates, could be a national girl or a society lady in pearls. But if you play